In the heart of San Francisco's vibrant music scene, one saxophonist and composer has been making waves with her innovative approach to jazz and chamber music. Today, on Music from Humans, we're thrilled to welcome Beth Schenck, a dynamic force in contemporary music. Since her arrival in the Bay Area in 2013, Beth has captivated audiences with her diverse musical project. From the intricate layers of her saxophone quartet, Social Stutter, to the melodic explorations of the Beth Schenck Quintet, her music pushes the boundaries of genre and form. Beth's compositions have resonated on international stages, from the Silla Festival in Korea to the Women's Work Festival in New York City. Her music, celebrated for its beauty and depth, explores themes that are both personal and universal, earning her acclaim as a truly transporting artist. Beyond the stage and studio, Beth dedicates her talents to nurturing the next generation of musicians as the director of performing arts at the San Francisco Day School, where she leads the jazz band. Her passion for music education is evident in her role with the California Alliance for Jazz, where she advocates for jazz education across the state. Today, Beth joins us to share her journey through the rhythms of jazz and beyond, her creative process, and how she shapes sounds that define her music. Let's dive into the world of Beth Schenck, a remarkable artist whose saxophone is her voice and her compositions are a conversation with the soul of music. Amidst the global upheaval of the pandemic, Beth found solace and inspiration to create her first solo album, Above and Below. How did these challenging times spark creativity for such a profound project? Stay tuned as we uncover the story behind the music that connected solitude to a deeper artistic expression. Well, Beth, it is so great to have you on.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Michael.
It's been maybe about a year since we played together once doing Riley's in C, which was a great fun experience. You know, we definitely work with some of the same people here and there in the Bay Area, and both friends with Philip Greenleaf and things like that. So we have a little bit of that in common. But one of the other things we have a little bit common is you created this wonderful solo album, and I did one many years ago, and it was very cathartic experience for me just to work on my own things. But yours, I think, even has a bigger impact into that because of the time that you created it. You wrote this during the pandemic, if I remember correctly, and it's just a beautiful album. I really enjoyed listening to it, and such beautiful saxophone tone qualities. You know, the compositions on it are wonderful. I'd love to learn more about the creation of that album and maybe, you know, from how you went about it to, you know, just its whole meaning for that period of time that whole world was going.
Yeah, the record is called Above and Below. And like you said, I started working on it during COVID times, locked at home. I didn't set out to make an album. That was not in my planning. What happened was I had just finished writing another sax quartet, and we were going to perform it and start working on it. So I was really excited about this piece that I just wrote. And then before we got to rehearse it and I got to actually hear it, then the lockdown happened. And I was really bummed out because I was just very excited about it, and finally finished it. You know how it is. And you just can't wait to hear it with humans playing it. Yeah. And so, you know, that opportunity to get to play it with them all of a sudden disappeared. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to mess around at home and record it just so I can hear the parts together and hear what it's going to sound like and see, is it going to work? So I just set up a little home studio with a mic running into like an audio interface. And I actually just started recording all the parts on alto because at that point, I didn't have a bari. I had a tenor that needed a lot of work. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna rearrange it for alto voices just so I can hear the piece. So I did that, and it was the only time I've ever sort of experimented with like making tracks of myself, multiple tracks of myself. I don't do a lot of recording, and I tend to sort of like stay away from doing anything with technology. I just like to go with my saxophone and like handwrite things. So I didn't realize how fun it was going to be. And doing the tracks and having it where I got to control all the different aspects of it, play every part exactly how I heard that part, instead of someone else's interpretation of how that should be. It was really fun. I sent it to them, but we still didn't get to play it. And then everything was already set up. So then I just was like, well, maybe I'll just keep recording a few other things that I wanted to hear. And it just kind of snowballed into me writing things specifically for doing that for myself. It was like about once a week, my family would leave our apartment and go for like a long bike ride. And I would just couldn't wait for them to be gone for like half a day so I could just mess around and record stuff. And that was sort of like my special time once a week. And because I didn't have any plans to put out what I was doing, I didn't re-record things very much. I just wanted like everything to be captured in the moment that it was. Like if I was going to play a solo, I wasn't going to play it 4 times and pick the best one. I was just going to do it that one time and have it capture that moment. So in that aspect, it's not a super tight recording where every part is perfect, because sort of the idea around it was just to like capture what was happening in those moments on that day, and not have it be like overly precious, especially since I had no intention of putting it out. And because of the time of when it was being stuck in a like, 1,000 square foot apartment with my 2 other people in my family, it just brought up a lot of stuff like it did for everybody, just felt like the world was on fire. It made you think about big picture things like, what are we doing here on Earth? What happens after we're not here anymore? Just like, I feel like there was a lot of existential questions going around in my mind that I tried to process through writing these small little poems I think of them more of like little poems. They just like capture an idea or a sound, and then they move on. They're not long-winded or some of them are through composed, but they're not long pieces.
Yeah, that gets me a little bit to a couple of questions I had on it. Well, at first, is that quartet piece on that album? What's the title of that one?
Buoys Ring Like Church Bells.
Oh, okay. All right. I remember that one. Yeah, very nice. A bit about, it's sort of the first recording, very jazz-esque in that manner, of course. Sometimes when you do recordings, the first take is always the best one anyway, right? You might take it a couple of times and then you start to overthink it, right? I certainly remember recording Ornette Coleman's Lonely Woman, and we did something in the studio that we've never done before. So we said, well, let's do another take because we've never done that before. That was strange. It really worked, but we ended up putting that one on the album because it was just so much. It was everybody's solos were better. Everything was just because it was the first take and it was things. Anyway, just my personal observations of that same consciousness. So of just taking those first takes. So I'm sure your decision to do that would makes that album so lovely.
No, thanks. There's definitely when I try not to listen back to it. I haven't in a long time, but when I do listen back to it, of course I'm like, ooh, I could have like punched in that note, it's out of tune, or like, lined those lines up a little bit more, but I kind of like that it's a little scrappy and that it's reflective of like when it was, and it didn't have to be perfect.
While that's a great trait for certain styles of music, maybe classical, maybe popular music, I find sometimes overly tight things that are inspired by jazz, they come off, they don't have quite the same feeling and the quite energy of the spontaneity by being off.
Yeah.
I know I personally absorbed so much of that I actually intentionally try and make my classical music be off a little bit, or I'll stagger people purposely to make it feel like they're not on, and then they'll all suddenly be on again. Everybody's playing the melody, and then some people are off a little bit, and then so I'll give some people a little so they make notes last longer than they should, but then they resync on.
Yeah. That's cool because, yeah, just thinking about how to make music as organic as possible, like reflecting sort of the natural world,
Right.
just like perfection and imperfection. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, and certainly I'm all into a little bit of that imperfection. Another question I had, you talked about, is it that some of your pieces are through composed and some of your pieces have improvisation. I'm just curious on how you created it being like an all-in-one solo work.
I think pretty much everything on this record, I started with the compositions. Almost all of the stuff on this album started as me hearing something on my horn when I was practicing and like exploring something, which is normally how I write. Is like I try to give myself time in my practice to just have free improv, free exploration, and that's sort of like that's the begin. And I count that as like my composition practice, because I don't ever sit down and say, now I'm going to write something. Ever. So, like the title track, Above and Below, that was definitely me hearing some interval stuff on my instrument and exploring lines with that, and then writing it down, and then taking it from there. And then there's always a section on almost everything. There's a section of improv, like on Above and Below. I improvise over the structure and the harmony. And Bowie's Ring Like, there's multiple sections that are open sections that I recorded myself improvising on. Yeah, that's almost for all of the pieces.
Is that's something I think you alluded to it. I just want to make sure I heard right. That's something that's mostly how your process is you improvise a little bit in your practice time, come up with some ideas you like, write those down, and then later come back to them and sort of flush out a more through composed piece.
Yeah, exactly. Like I always have my phone with me. Look, there's 132 recordings right now on my audio. I'm always like practicing and being like, before I don't want to sit and write it down. I want to just record it really quick and then move on to see what's next. Because sometimes when you're like going to write something down in the composition process, if you stop and like consider how to write it out, then you've lost where it was going. And so I think the cell phone with the audio recording situation has like changed my practice, because I feel like I can be quick when the moment arises where I hear a bunch of things that I want to execute, and I don't have to write it down, and then later I can transcribe it and write it down and take it from there. So definitely did that for this album too. Do you do that?
I do at times. We're in my studio right now. This is the part of my studio that kind of looks nice. When you look at the other side, that's where all my mics and recording equipment and computers are. I'll practice in here in the mornings, and I sometimes do very much what you're talking about. And I'll just kick on the mic to record an improvisation. yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to get at it. It's always great to hear other folks do, and sometimes it is a little reassuring to go, oh yeah, I do that too. Okay, so it's not strange.
Yeah.
But the music in that, you have some really nice solos in there. There's such a beauty to the sound that it made me feel like this album must have been very cathartic to do and to record, and to like, okay, the world is on fire, and it's putting my head in some interesting spaces, but I can relieve some of that by laying out these songs, and hopefully other people could absorb it in the same way and feel those same feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't necessarily going to put it out, but when it was done, and I had it mixed, not mastered, Innova, the Chamber Music America's label, they put out a search for projects that they would fund. And so I sent in the mix and got their help with it. So then it was like, okay, well, I guess I am going to put this out.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I think that was what made me actually follow through on a project.
That's even more wonderful. I'm so used to I'm so used to funding things myself, except for maybe my orchestra stuff. So can you tell us a little bit more about that project and what you had to do to win that backing?
Sure. They were doing this pilot project that now they do, I think, once a year. It was the first time doing it, and they put out a call for projects in any. I think it was at any point in the project. I think it could be like you haven't recorded anything, but here are the compositions to it's all done, and I need someone. I want to put it on a label. And then you could send in and apply to be considered. And I think there were 6 or 8 people that were chosen to be part of this pilot project. And it was a Bay Area one. Now they do a national one now. But at the time, it was just, I don't know, 6 or 8 Bay Area artists that they were going to work with for their projects. So they had, I don't know, they had a jury of people that listened to everything and chose projects. So I was not expecting anything to come out of it, but actually Lisa Mezzacappa, I don't know if you know her.
Yep.
She was, she was like, send in your project, do this.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, just, people helping me, you never get, especially me, because I'm very motivated to practice and write music. I'm not very motivated to go ahead and go to the studio, record a thing, finance it, send it out. I'm like, that's not my wheelhouse. So it was a group effort on a lot of people's part to help put this out, including Nathan James, who mastered it. John recorded it and mixed it. Just having friends help and believe in it and support it was really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, it always takes a community to get projects done, even concerts and stuff like that, I think. I'm just going to drift back a bit to Above and Below. Is there anything in that work of those compositions that is like this one was really profound for me? Or is there one piece on that you like better or that had more meaning for you than any of the others?
Yeah, I think it probably changes. I mean, the thing that sort of was the overarching feeling of the album for me was the idea of above and below, and something that I was thinking about during that time, which is like hell not being a place that you go to, but hell and heaven both exist on earth all the time. especially during that time, there was so many beautiful parts of that time, the lockdown, where your schedule opened up and you only saw people outside, and the city was quiet, and you spent time with your family. And I don't know, there's a lot of beautiful moments, but also the hell of so many people dying, so many horrible things happening during that period. So I feel like Above and Below has like a very special place in my heart, that tune. And then the last one, Expanding Joy, that one is through compose. It's just a melody that it's a melody that drifts into another key, and then it happens in another key, and then it drifts into a third key. And because the three keys, once you get to the third key, it goes straight back to the first key. And it was this idea of, like, I wrote it right after I got vaccinated. And I was, feeling of hope was like so strong back then. Everybody, the first time you got the vaccine, and everybody thought like, we're going to turn a corner. And I just felt like this, like literally, like when you throw a rock in a lake and you see the ripples expanding out. I just felt like this joy and this like hope was expanding out for everyone. So it's a really simple song, just this melody 3 times in 3 keys. But that idea of it is meaningful to me.
That's very cool. I love hearing these stories, so that when I go back and listen, the music takes on a deeper meaning, and hopefully other people who are watching, can go and check out the album, and then they'll have a much deeper connection to all this, because you can never always put this information in the liner notes. So I think it's a wonderful thing. So any plans of maybe recording some of Social Stutter or any of your other ensembles?
Well, since you mentioned it, yes. Philip Greenleaf, who is one of my sax quartet members, my sax quartet, Social Stutter, we've been playing for 10 years. Basically, since I got to San Francisco, I knew Philip Greenleaf. He was a contact, and he helped me find Casey Knudsen and my dear friend Corey Wright, and we started this project. And I've been writing music for them for 10 years. And we are playing in a couple weeks, May 31st. And it's a special show because Philip is moving to Maine. So
yeah,
it's our last show with him here, although I'm sure we'll play some, here and there. And we're going to do a live concert recording of that concert.
Awesome.
So gearing up for that. And right now I'm working on a piece dedicated to Philip. Hopefully I can finish it in time. Our first rehearsal is Wednesday. It's getting close. I think I can finish it. Just like as a goodbye and thank you piece for him, because he's been just like a local hero of mine, such a supporter and just creative being, just the way that he lives and interacts with the world that I find super inspiring. So that is what I'm working on at this moment.
Yeah, Philip is a great guy. He's interviewed on my show earlier, talking about his graphical scores that reference maps.
Yeah.
I mean, to work with folks for 10 years, obviously has a huge advantage in learning how to write, what people's strengths are, and all those type of things. When you're writing music for that group, is it a slightly different process for you? I mean, in the sense of when you're writing, you're thinking, oh yeah, Corey really does this great, I want to make sure this is done. as opposed to just general writing. Oh, I want this sound. Are you thinking a lot more, for the individuals in your ensemble?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It'll be fun to play that show because we're going to do stuff from like the first sax quartet I wrote for them all the way till now. Well, this new one, if it gets done. You can see the change as it goes from me writing exactly what I hear and what I want versus like me knowing the players and how they shine and how to like accentuate their own voices. That's been fun to get to know them on a deep level. And we play, besides just the sax quartet thing, we're always part of the same crew of people that play on each other's stuff. So Casey and Corey, like we're always playing each other's music and playing projects around the Bay Area. So besides just being good friends, just knowing each other's playing so well makes you write differently, versus I'm writing this for people I don't know. It's a totally different experience.
Yeah, I think personally, I think there's a real advantage when you have a ensemble like yours, that's Social Stutter, that's been around for a while, and you can write, I think, so much more excellent music that way, by being able to keep a group together that long, and write music specifically for them. You have another ensemble as well, the Beth Schenck Quintet. Is that one as old, or is it a newer group?
We haven't really done much as under the banner of my music and these exact people, although I've played with all the people in it for so long. My husband's the guitarist. We've been playing together since college. Corey writes in that one too. We've been playing together since college. We lived in LA at the same time. I went to Cal Arts and he was at UCLA. No, he was at USC. And Lisa and Jordan I've been playing with since I moved to the Bay Area. So it's been 10 years, 11 years. But especially since the sax quartet, I'd been like concentrating on the sax quartet thing for a while, but just in the last year or two, I've been wanting to get back into having like playing with a rhythm section, my music with a rhythm section, and a chordal instrument. We play a lot at Mr. Tipples in San Francisco, and that's been every few months we've been playing there. So it got to the point where like, well, I want to start writing more music for this group and be doing different things with this group because we have so much fun playing together. And that's a great gig, but it's like a jazz club gig. So we play all original music there, but it's still very much in the jazz world. So I've been wanting to branch out a little bit from that with the same people to put on concerts that are more like listening audience, quiet. You can do really settled things. You can have slow, soft things. You can arrange things differently than what you would do for like a jazz club gig. And we are playing at the Hammer Museum in LA this summer. So I'm writing music for that group right now too.
Nice.
To just play some new stuff for an audience that's going to be wanting to just listen and hear things that are maybe different or more open to listening to hear things that are not just straight ahead jazz. So yeah,
more of the concert music approach for jazz, which that's one of my favorites as well. It's to do. There's nothing wrong with a good just jazz show at a bar and play it and enjoy it, having the kick off. But when I'm writing for ensembles, a lot of times it's like you get a little bit more subtlety here or there, or maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
It opens up what you're able to do and how you can write. And I don't know, I find it really exciting to have just other avenues of sound that you can go down. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I tended to put like more jazz suites together, maybe more 3 or 4 movement works in those type of situations. So, and that's what always end up going to my record, is those type of things more than.
Yeah. Cool. I want to hear that.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, visit blackhatrecords.com. That's my label, and all my albums are on there, or at least all my jazz albums are on.
Great.
Yeah. Well, Beth, it has been wonderful to talk to you today, and hearing more about your lovely album, Above and Below, which is obviously such a meaningful work to you, and I'm sure to others. I'm going to go tomorrow and re-listen to that album with all this new information in my head, just so I can feel it in that new way. It'll be wonderful. And I'm definitely hoping to get out to your show there. It's on my calendar, and hopefully we'll run into each other again soon, and be able to even play again together. That would be lovely.
That would be great. Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
Oh, great. I'm glad you could make it. I'm glad you could come on.